All right. Should be live now. Let people trickle back in. I know there's like 7 people fucking watching, but I'm gonna move this just a little bit. You know, let people trickle back in. Wasn't a lot of people, obviously, but trickle back in anyways. Yeah, it is okay. It is live. Want to make sure that the software was good to go. Okay, so sorry about that. That I actually had to take that call. That I wasn't expecting a call back. Thankfully, it was not a long call. Monty doesn't actually understand where Rekieta's assets actually are. Probably not, but neither do I. Actually, it's more of I don't care. It's not my concern where they are located. So I take that phone call. I have a conference call on Friday now. So we'll have fun with that. We will have some fun with that. I might do a gaming stream tonight on the other channel. Might do a gaming stream. Don't know off the top of my head. I might. But it's very good to get that phone call. So people trickling back in. Let's see. Let's get back into it. Let's get over to here. And we'll start from the beginning. So, David Schneider does hereby state, allege, and affirm your affiant herein being duly sworn upon oath deposes and says, your affiant served and filed plaintiff's memorandum of opposition with accompanying affidavits in response to defendant's motion to dismiss and for summary judgment on February 21st, 2023. In response, your affiant received a letter via email from counsel from defendants, Mr. Mark Randazza, today. You know what? I'm going to really quickly, I apologize. I'm actually going to really quickly. I want to this was okay. Yeah. So I'm going to delete the first part and I'll okay. So I'm going to delete that video and I'll address everything in the subsequent at the end of this, okay? We'll make it a little easier. Okay. So, in response, your affiant received a letter via email from counsel for defendants, Mr. Mark Randazza, today. A true and correct copy is attached here, too. I will not directly respond to Mr. Randazza, instead direct my response and comment to the court. Mr. Randazza and Minnesota counsel have received a copy of this affidavit. 2. Mr. Randazza has stated either I or Mr. Quest or both of us have lied in the initial pleadings served upon defendants. He has characterized my initial pleadings, the complaint and amended complaint, as deceitful on the issue of where my client, Steve Quest, resided. Not resided, resides. Resided is past tense. Resides is present tense. Like I told Mr. Schneider on the phone earlier today, that would be a source of contention for anybody. It doesn't matter if you said he resided in Illinois. You state that he resides in Colorado. Okay? It doesn't matter at that point anything else. You say he resides in Colorado. Therefore, for the purpose of their motion, Colorado law is applicable, right? It would make sense. If they're going to try that, then it makes sense that they would try to apply the home state law for their motion. It seems like you only said it afterwards because now they want to apply the state's law, and you're like, oh, well, crap. That's how it looks to me. That's how it looks to everybody else. That's apparently how it looks to to Mark Randazza. That's not a good thing. You don't want to be in this position. Okay? You don't want to be in this position. See attached letter. I affirm under threat of penalty and sanction, I have not lied to the court or engaged in any deceitful conduct to the court. Okay. Cool. So sounds like, well, let's back up a little bit. If you withheld that information and passed on new information that was incorrect, that would be lying to the court, whether it was, you know, intentional or not. It would still be lying to the court, would it not? The question is it because you didn't know or because you were willfully part of that lie? That's the question. And that's the issue at heart here. The issue at heart is that, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like Mr. Schneider lied to the court with his filing. He had 2 months to fix it. They even gave him a chance to amend the complaint. They asked for a chance to amend the complaint to cure some deficiencies, but they left this part in. At this point, it's been over 2 months since the initial complaint was filed. 2 months. Now, I have to say, I spoke to Mr. Schneider earlier, and I'll get into why later, because I have obviously deleted the previous stream, so nobody's going to see it. I mean, somebody might have seen it. I don't fucking know. I don't know why you would, but why do you want to watch me more than you have to? But anyways, I spoke to Mr. Schneider earlier, and I said, well, I think you need to. Excuse me, that was the wrong thing. I think you need to understand. It certainly looks like you lied to the court, and it seems like you would have shown your client this before, the complaint before filing it with the court. Mighty Buffoon says, Twist a Puppet, why should Monty know that? FBI is to investigate shady people like Rekieta all the time. So why should an individual be privy to that info? Mighty Buffoon, I'm pretty sure is Montagraph at this point. It's similar, right? If you take away the caps lock, it's similar writing style. Just saying. I think it's Montagraph, but that's neither here nor there. Actually, I'm not going to go into what I was going to respond with because it comes up later. Not that far from now. Okay. Actually comes up now. So it looks like you lied to the court. That's what they're taking issue with. Understandably, I would take issue with it too. It looks like an officer of the court has lied to the court. Not a good look for a lawyer. Not only that, but he's done it for 3 filings. Remember? Initial complaint, motion to dismiss, amended complaint over a 2-month period. Not a good look. Resides and resided are 2 different words. One is present tense, that's resides. Resided is past tense. When you put in he resides in Colorado under the parties of your complaint, you're saying he currently lives in that state. It doesn't matter if later on you say he resided in Illinois. That's past tense. That makes it sound like he used to live there before he moved to Colorado. Well, gosh darn. I would take issue with that. You're a lawyer, Mr. Schneider. From our conversation, you seem like a nice guy. You really do. You seem like a nice enough guy. I personally have nothing against you other than this. And don't get me wrong, I went hard on you, but I was acting under the impression that you willfully knew all this was wrong and you still put it out there. Now, Mr. Schneider has said that his client did not see the complaint and could not cure those deficiencies, such as where he lives, because he didn't see it. Apparently in Minnesota, you have a general complaint and a verified complaint. I think that's what he said. A general complaint, the client doesn't have to see it. The lawyer just files it, and that's what he claims he did. Whereas with a verified complaint, Monty would have to sign off on it. I'm not sure I completely buy it, because even if you were to accept that, Monty was watching Rekieta talk about it. He had seen me talk about it. He had seen me point out that he was a resident of Colorado. He resides in Colorado. And I even explained the difference between residency and citizenship in the first stream. It's important for federal cases, not so much for state, but there, as we have seen with this motion to dismiss, we it does come up, it does rear its ugly head. So Monty knew that that was in the complaint, and he didn't try and fix it. Wait a minute. Hold on. So I'm going to go to chat. Why would the FBI be investigating a law tuber that makes jokes on the internet? Mighty Buffoon responds with, Twisted Puppet, it's ridiculous to answer someone who answers an initial question with a question. No, it's... I mean, she's asking... Why should Monty know that? About the assets. Why should Monty know that FBI has to investigate shady people like Rekieta all the time? It certainly seems like you're suggesting that the FBI should be investigating Rekieta for something. And Twisted Puppet wants to know, why would the FBI be interested in investigating him? You're not providing anything that really provides an answer to that question. You know what? Twisted is now a moderator. Twisted is now my official secretary. Twisted, answer the questions of the retard in chat. You'll direct all your questions and complaints to Twisted. Questions she will answer. Complaints she'll tell you to get bent. You have my blessing, Twisted Puppet. You have my blessing. Whatever, bye. Okay, Twisted. Good job. No, you know what? Twisted did a good job there. Twisted made the retard run. He didn't want to have to answer Twisted Puppet's questions now. You did a good job, Twisted. You're the best moderator I've ever had. Mainly because you're consistent. I don't know why, but you are. At the time I drafted the complaint and amended complaint, I knew Steve Quest used the Colorado mailing address disclosed in his affidavit, as he had provided it to me upon retention. I also knew that when I was speaking with him by phone, he was in Illinois. Oh, really? You knew at the time he was in Illinois? On vacation? Visiting family? You don't really say. You just say you knew he was in Illinois. Okay. I always understood the reason he was in Illinois is because he was attempting to evade agents and defendants. I'm sorry, what? Did you just tell the court that you knew he was in Illinois for a significant period of time? And you're trying to attribute it to people who follow Nick Rekieta? I'm fucking sorry, what? This was the dumbest thing you probably could have said. It really is, Mr. Schneider. I'm sorry. I have to call a spade a spade. I have to call a spade a spade. This is a dumb thing to say. You knew he was in Illinois. You seem to suggest here you knew he'd been in Illinois for a significant amount of time. But maybe I'm also, maybe I'm reading a little too far into it. I'll grant you that. You or Robinson, thank you. So, Twist Puppet, is there any reason the FBI would be interested in rackets? Please help me understand. There's no reason the FBI would be interested in rackets. I don't know. Bahram, you. Anyways, there's no reason for them to be interested in Rekieta. Unless this was something that came up during the Vic Mignogna trial too, when people were trying to say he was laundering money. Remember that law Twitter thing about how Nick's laundering money through Ty Beard with the lawsuit GoFundMe? The dumbest thing possible. So it certainly seems like you're insinuating that you knew he was in Illinois for an extended period of time. And you say he resided in Illinois. So let me get this straight. You're saying he used to live in Illinois, and at the time he retained you, you knew he was in Illinois. You didn't think to ask him, well, why you in Illinois? How long have you been in Illinois? How long are you going to be in Illinois? And instead just file the complaint, the motion to dismiss, and the amended complaint over a 2-month period. Over a 1-month period, actually. Be fair, 1-month period. That's not a good look. That's not a good response. If I was the judge, that would not be a good enough response for me. In fact, I would now have more questions. And possibly others like defendants who have harassed, stalked, and harmed Mr. Quest. Evidence of that is offered in the affidavit of Steve Quest, except it doesn't. The affidavit of Steve Quest involves screenshots taken from a video from 2020, before anything Nick is supposed to have said that is defamatory in this case. It doesn't work like that. It can't work like that. More to the point, where were those pictures taken? We have no proof that they're actually his. He says they are, so we'll take him at his word on that. Were they taken in Colorado or Illinois? That's a question that should probably be answered. Were they taken in Colorado or Illinois? Something to consider. I just tuned in, but I don't understand why it matters that the FBI is investigating Nick. They're not. He was trying to use that as he's trying to say, oh, the FBI investigate people like shady people like Rekieta all the time. He's basically calling Rekieta a shady individual, which I don't think he is. He's a shyster lawyer. He's an alcoholic. He's a foul-mouthed individual, but he's not shady. People are going to say he's shady just because it amuses them, and I get that, but it's like, come on, brother. Come on, brother. Okay. Oh. Evidence of that is offered, blah, blah, blah. Well, when I was retained, I did not know, nor do I believe it is relevant now to Mr. Quest's Illinois mailing address, to have his Illinois mailing address in my possession. You might want to. Because if you lose this case, you think he's not going to try and hide? Shut down the Colorado mailing address and hide? You're going to have some trouble finding him without spending quite a bit of money to hire PIs and whatnot. Because apparently he's off the grid. Apparently everything is in his girlfriend's name. You fucking might want that. You fucking might want that. I'm just saying. You might want to have that. The few times I have mailed documents to him, for instance, to obtain signatures, I've used the Colorado address, and he has received them and responded to them. Indeed, Mr. Quest explains in his affidavit how this is possible. Here's a question. Was the return address in the top left of the envelopes? Was that in Illinois or Colorado? That's a question. It matters a whole fucking lot. Yeah, it matters. It matters a lot. Because the venue for defamation matters a whole fucking lot. Yeah, it does. It fucking does. More importantly, it's going to set the stage for how much a judge can trust the plaintiff or their attorney. You're coming in with a strike, and it could be a very serious strike. The FBI is probably investigating me because I homeschool. Nick homeschools. No, that's true, Sarah. Yeah, they homeschool. That's fair. Didn't think of that. Nick's on a watch list. I understand and respect Mr. Quest's desire to hide out. That's cool, but you can't lie to the court, which is what happened in this instance. I'm sorry. You can't. You can't lie to the court about this. You know that, Mr. Schneider. Again, the conversation I had with David Schneider earlier was amicable, no yelling. We weren't like talking, well, kind of talking over each other, but it's like people on the fucking phone. Okay. He seemed like a nice enough guy. He really fucking did. I just want to make that very clear. He seemed like a nice guy. I mean that. He legitimately seemed like a nice guy. I had no issues talking to him. Very professional, very polite, you know, and our conversation was pretty good. Uh, I explained this in the previous stream that I've since deleted. However, I'll explain it here. He's not happy with how Nick has responded to him. He didn't like that Nick called him a cunt. And I explained to Mr. Schneider, the problem is that it's not a personal insult. He didn't take it as a personal slight, I don't think. The way Nick has explained it, it was a professional slight that he called, emailed, even showed up to your office trying to get an extension and you blew him off. Your secretary, your admin didn't tell Nick that you were on vacation, right? And then you filed a motion for default judgment afterwards where you admit, yeah, I knew he called. I knew he emailed. I didn't respond, but we want you to give us a default judgment, Your Honor. I would take that personally too. I don't take a lot of things personally. I don't hold it. I hold grudges. I hold a lot of grudges. I have like a dwarven book of grudges. But he was upset about that. I understand it. And then Mr. Schneider explained to me that they had represented clients on opposite sides of a civil case. Nick, this is according to David Schneider. According to David Schneider, Nick had not filed for extensions, had not filed a responsive pleading, had not answered interrogatories in the case, just showed up at Schneider's office and he wanted to just talk about it. Which, that last part, I kind of could see that being Nick. Nick does seem like the guy who would just show up and be like, let's talk. Right. But he was also a new attorney. I think this was in 2017. I think he was admitted to practice in like 2015, 2016. So he'd be a relatively new attorney. I'm not saying that's an excuse if he didn't follow the rules. He knows the rules, but still, right? And Mr. Schneider admits that colored his opinion of Nick, and that's why he didn't respond. He says Nick could have filed a general response and said that he reserves the right to amend the complaint or amend his response later. And filed for an extension, gone extension that way, and it would have been fine. But that's not what he did, and so he ignored Nick. And that's where we get that entire thing, right? And I said, is it possible, hypothetically, that you had seen his stream where he said he was being represented, and that's why, you didn't respond to him? And he says, no, I hadn't seen that, and that's what he told me why he had gone through it. Make that very clear. That's why he had done it the way he did. He's like, the only stream I've seen is the one, the hot tub stream where he called me a cunt. Did you see it? And I'm like, God, no, I don't want to see a grown man fucking naked. No, I don't want to see that shit. Leave that to the thirsty bitches and the locals chat if they want that. But that's why he did it. I was like, outside looking in, he understands that I like Nick. I talked to Nick, and Nick and I are friendly. I was like, look, if Nick had done this to you, I would tear into him, right? Regardless of what your past experiences are, professionalism, you kind of have to interact, right? You say you didn't know that he was represented. You should have gone on the assumption that he was representing himself at the time. He was pro se. I would have, responded at least, but like, whatever, because they're going to give the extension. There's no reason to look like an asshole. Okay. That's how he wants to practice law. That's fine. Not the way I would practice law in my case. But that's me. What do I know, right? He's been a lawyer for, he said 27 years. It's almost as long as I've been alive. When I received defendant's motion for summary judgment and to dismiss, I was surprised to see an effort to apply Colorado law to the facts of this matter. I did not anticipate this defense, given well-settled Minnesota law articulated in Mobile Diagnostic Imaging v. Hooten and Leindecker 2017. I ain't calling it the entire thing because seriously, there's according to him, there's 5 or 6 Leindecker rulings, and he just does that because fuck you, that's why. Summarizing these holdings, for over 5 years in the state of Minnesota, any pretrial finding that speech or conduct is not tortious is unconstitutional. And he told me that when he saw Mark Randazza was the attorney for Nick, he thought, oh, it's somebody who wants to overturn Lane Decker. And then he looked, he's like, oh, he's not. What the shit? What is this? With this Minnesota Appellate Court decision and Minnesota Supreme Court decision in mind, plaintiff Steve Quest's actual residence and in which state he resides is irrelevant. Is it, though? Failure by me to correctly state in a pleading where the plaintiff resides was not made in bad faith. Oh, I don't know. I mean, take you at your word that you didn't know that he was living in Illinois. You still put it out there. You know, if I fuck up, I can't go, well, it was because of somebody else. I fucked up. I have to take responsibility I have to own up to I fucked up. I fuck up quite often. I take ownership of it. That's what you're supposed to do. Sarah Brown, I don't even like Nick. I don't dislike him. I'm just not a wine mom. The whole thing just seems like petty drama. Entertaining but petty. It is. It's super petty. That's why I love it. I'm a child at heart. Okay, I am. Okay, I'm just a child at heart. I love watching this go down. I love drama. It is ironic defendant Nicholas Rekieta may know Steve Quest's Illinois address while I do not. Prior to commencement of the suit, Mr. Quest complained to the Office of Lawyers' Professional Responsibility for the state of Minnesota. Upon information and belief, meaning he doesn't know, Mr. Schneider admitted to me in our phone call earlier that he has not seen the actual complaint. He doesn't know when it was filed. He hasn't seen it. He doesn't know if the Illinois address is even on there. He doesn't know if the Illinois address is even on there, but he's going to say that. Well, he does say Nick Rekieta may know it. Upon information belief, complainants must include their mailing address when making such complaints, and this information was likely provided to defendant Nicholas Rekieta. It totally was. Now, notice that he doesn't say Rekieta should have his address. However, he's going to say, in my opinion, naming plaintiff's residence on a complaint is relevant only if the case gets removed to federal court, then reciting it aids in assessing diversity for jurisdictional purposes, or if the defense wants to move for a change of venue for forum non-conveniens. Then it shows the plaintiff's connectedness to a given forum along with the situs of the crash, the location of plaintiff's medical treatment, and where witnesses may reside. Now, something I didn't mention, by the way, is yesterday in his affidavit, Montegraph says that he's seeing a therapist online via telehealth. There are a lot of rules for telehealth. A lot of rules. And cross-state can also be something that could add more issues. Think BetterHelp, right? There were a lot of issues with BetterHelp. It's possible there could be some issues with the therapy issue, with the therapist. I don't know. I'm not going to opine on it. I'm just saying there could be. I have practiced law in Minnesota since 1995. I admit I've been wrong before and may be wrong again. If I fail to understand Minnesota law or the import of the above noted case authority, ample time is available to cure the perceived defect. Is there, though? You haven't cured the defect. You've said something only because you got called out. Your client got called out. I'm sorry, Mr. Schneider. It looks like the only reason it came out was because of this. And by your own admission, it is because of this. It is because of this motion to apply Colorado law because it was assumed he was a Colorado resident per your complaint and your amended complaint. You don't want to be in this position. 27 years you've been practicing law. You should know that. You should know you don't want to be in this position. You really should. Not sure if I buy it. I'm giving some deference to Mr. Schneider. Again, amicable conversation. Ewa Robinson says, okay, Monty Mellon has no chance of winning the case. I don't think he has a chance. The entire point of this is to the punishment is the litigation itself. The punishment is the litigation itself. It's Nick is now paying for a lawyer, and he's not paying a cheap amount of money. He is paying tens of thousands of dollars to hire Randazza. I think it's been said that the retainer was something like $15,000 or $30,000. So, I don't think it has any way to go. I think the point of this was to get Nick into a pretrial conference, settle, and get the fuck out. Because I think if this goes to trial, Nick may be an asshole, but being an asshole isn't a crime. It's not even really something that's defamatory. Nick is not calling up, right? Nick's not calling up whatever sponsors Monty might have, but Monty was calling Nick's sponsors. That's not a good thing. Now there might be a countersuit for tortious interference, right? Even though he was unsuccessful, something to consider. Might be something to consider. So we'll look at now. We're going to look at the email Randazza sent. Dear David. Should I put on some sappy music? Because this seems like it's going to be a love letter if it starts off with Dear David. It's a Dear David letter. Oh, no. Dear John letter. No. Randazza's breaking up with David. No. No, I didn't see this turn of events. I have reviewed your opposition to the anti-SLAPP motion. While there are several issues in it that we intend to address in our reply brief, there is a rather important one that I would prefer to address between us before making it an issue before the court. I offered to allow an amendment before we responded. You took me up on that offer and submitted an amended complaint. That exercise was intended to allow you to cure any deficiencies that were in the complaint. I never suspected that one of them would be an outright knowing material falsehood regarding the plaintiff's residence. I'm a bit surprised that even after amendment, this material falsehood remained in the complaint. So he's straight up saying there was a lie. He's being a little more diplomatic. It's a material falsehood. But you and I would call it a lie. In both iterations, you signed a complaint that said Quest resides in the state of Colorado. We then made significant arguments relying on that representation. Again, it's a representation that was put before the court. He resides in Colorado. They made their argument based on that. Now he lives in Illinois. Not that far from Minnesota. Why didn't he file in Illinois? Illinois has an anti-SLAPP statute. Oh. And he filed in Colorado. Colorado's an anti-SLAPP statute. Oh. In fact, Monty's previous lawsuit against the Greek guy, I can't remember, Marianos or something like that, was thrown out, I believe, on that anti-SLAPP. He knows anti-SLAPPs are a problem. Minnesota does not have that. Certainly looks like there's a little bit of forum shopping going on, and Minnesota may want to not allow that to happen. They may want to put their foot down and say, no, that's not going to be allowed here. We're going to allow this. We're going to allow this, or allow people to apply the home state because it looks like it's forum shopping. That's a possibility. Now that such residency has become inconvenient, Quest claims that he is secretly living in Illinois. I'm going to call it Illinois from now on because it's French, and French people are dirty. I don't know what that has to do with the pronunciation, but we're going to go with it. That is problematic for him. You know our position about the most significant relationship test. We believe that it still requires application of Colorado law. However, it might now require the application of Illinois law, which would require significant additional research and writing to address this issue, which would have been addressed had the initial or amended complaint been truthful. See, that's what I said yesterday. They're probably going to have to apply Illinois law now because of this revelation. That's why it could be sanctionable, because you intentionally withheld information until such time as it was convenient. This is not a good thing for you, Mr. Schneider. And I tried to get that to you today. It's not a good thing. Minnesota may not have an anti-SLAPP statute, but they made an argument in good faith based on information you provided that cannot be overlooked. We had a discussion on this, right? Devil's advocate kind of shit, because I like doing that. I like keeping my mind sharp, so it's not too dull. But obviously, I'm not a lawyer. I can only come up with very base arguments. I still think this base argument is good. And I think it's something you should be worried about. This now presents two issues for us. Are there any more lies in the complaint? Now we've gone from material falsehoods to lies. You've pissed off the lawyer when he's saying you're straight up lying. You've pissed off the other lawyer. And considering Nick has probably spent hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, for this motion that is probably no longer applicable because of this most recent revelation, now we have a problem, because now he's going to have to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars more. And that's assuming that the judge allows them to, which I think the judge will, right? They have every right to come back and file a motion, which could go with the sanctions, the motion for sanctions. I will not be surprised if within 21 days, right? Because I believe it's 21 days from they have 21 days to reply. But he also has a safe harbor period of 21 days. You can see it at the beginning, or at the end of this page, where he could say, oh, hey, I fucked up. And he can't be sanctioned for it, or at least sanctions are mitigated. We could see a response and then a motion for sanctions as well for all of this. We could. It is our intent to file a motion for sanctions against you personally for presenting the complaint with information in it that you knew to be false. A, if the cause of this was that your client lied to you, then we may have a tangentially different conversation. What he's saying is, if your client told you something that wasn't true, but you took it at face value because he's your client, and you didn't think that he would be this fucking stupid, which is understandable, we'll start talking about something else. We can't hold you responsible for you having an idiot of a client, right? Your client lied to you. Probably should have done your due diligence, but we're willing to overlook that. B, in either event, consider this letter as both notice of and the beginning of your 21-day safe harbor period. Now, A also does something. It puts a bit of a wedge between Monty and the lawyer. Does the lawyer say, I knew and I didn't tell the court, and risk sanctions filed against him? Or does he say to the client, I have to tell them the truth. You told me something different. It wasn't true. And now Monty's spurging out his lawyer, probably claiming he's broken, confidentiality or, his what's it called? His attorney-client privilege. That's not a good thing. Not a good thing. Monty doesn't want to be in this position. I guarantee Schneider doesn't want to be in this position. Here we are, though. Here we fucking are. What are you going to do? What can you do at this point? You're now on the back fucking foot. That's not a good place for a client and attorney to be for their relationship at the beginning of a lawsuit. As to the first issue so far, we cannot tell if there are any other no material falsehoods in the complaint upon which we have relied. If there are other lies in the complaint that your client wishes to confess and correct, the time is now. Any such lies must be confessed and corrected by Thursday, 23 February. He does dating like I do. I like that. At 5 p.m. Central. If we have not incurred any fees in reliance on these lies, we will consider that if we have not incurred any fees in reliance on these lies, we will consider that a no harm, no foul situation and will not use the confession and correction to your client's detriment going forward. Meaning, if anything he said we haven't addressed and we haven't, my client hasn't had to pay me to go through it, no harm, no foul. Nothing happened. We can overlook that. And we won't use it in the future against you. I would 100% use it in the future against him. With respects to the sanctions for knowingly providing false information in the complaint, this about the where he lives. Because he did spend money on that. We would prefer to resolve that with you privately rather than placing such misconduct in the record. So they're saying we want to work with you to rectify this problem rather than go before the judge and put it on record that you lied. He emailed this privately. Would Rekieta have read this out? Probably not. He might have alluded to it, but I highly doubt he would have read it. You don't want to fuck around with attorney-client kind of shit, right? You don't want to. How is in the ever? Looks like Schneider has made it public in a cover your ass move. And by the way, I just want to make this very clear. My conversation with Mr. Schneider earlier, the only reason I know this was out there was because he told me, "Oh yeah, which one are you talking about?" When I said your most recent motion, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, are there more?" He's like, "Yeah, I filed something today." I'm like, "Oh shit." I wasn't going to check today because I didn't expect there to be something today, right? It's like we had the motion yesterday. You need time to digest it and then file your response. If Monty had just went to Nick and said, "Hey, I'm not a whatever. I'm just dealing with false rumors. I did some stupid videos a long time ago, yada, yada." Nick wouldn't have said anything else. No, Nick would have said something. He's going to ridicule and mock you. He's going to make fun of you. That's how Nick is. Nick does it to me. Do you see me losing my fucking shit? No, you don't. You know why? Because I don't know, probably retarded. I mean, I am retarded, and that's probably part of it. I'm just too stupid to realize it. But in all seriousness, I'm not losing my mind over it. Now, I'm also friendly with Nick. I talk to Nick, right? It's different when you have that personal connection. I get that. But it's like, come on, man. Come on. Right? He was commenting in 2019 about your failed lawsuit against another guy. And you spurred the fuck out in chat. And he ridiculed you because you were acting like a spurg. You couldn't keep your fucking autism in check. That's why. And then you threatened his children. You threatened to show up at his fucking house. Right? You threatened that. Remember that? Remember that? You filed a complaint with the ethics board because he hurt your fucking fees. And then he's talking about you again. I don't remember why this time. I legitimately forget why. But you start spurging out again. Oh, it was because you just lost your channel and Monty was taking credit for it. And you were like, oh, fuck this guy. He wants to play that game. Fine. Fine. Monty had just shut the fuck up in October 2022. Just saying. He didn't try to play like he was the reason Nick lost his fucking channel. Nick wouldn't have said a goddamn thing. If you are willing to accept responsibility for this, we will provide you with our billing records and negotiate the amount of fees we seek to be reimbursed, meaning that we want our client to be reimbursed for the work that we did at your expense because you are the one who created this problem. We will approach that in good faith, and if we can work it out, it needs never be the subject of emotion. So they are throwing out an olive branch to Mr. Schneider right now. They have ripped a fucking limb off the olive tree and they are handing it to him and saying, look, olive branch time. Let's have a chat. Let's take care of this. It's your problem. You caused the issue. We want to work with you to resolve this because it's not fair that our client is penalized because of this. Again, the process is the punishment. The process is the punishment. Because Nick got mass flagged by Keffels and Monty just had to gloat. Otherwise, it was squashed. Nick had stopped talking about it. Yeah, he had. I don't think he had talked about Monty at all. I don't. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. I don't know. I admit, I have not watched Nick religiously for a bit. Working 2 jobs, getting ready to buy a house, hopefully within the next few months, getting ready for post-grad. I don't have a lot of time. I'd rather play video games. No offense to Nick. I love Nick. Nick's a great guy. I love talking to the guy. I'll put his stuff in the background and listen to it sometimes. I love going back to the Rittenhouse trial and their reaction to Gage Grosskreutz and the verdict itself and Binger being a fucking moron. Love that. The Johnny Depp trial, I'll sometimes listen to that. Depends on what I'm listening to, right? What I'm in the mood for. I'll throw on Viva and Barnes and listen to Viva and Barnes live. I'll do that while I'm playing my vidya. But I don't watch him live normally. Usually a little too late for me. Let's see. Even if we cannot agree upon the amount, we would be willing to agree to allow a mutually agreeable third party to resolve that, rather than making this part of the record. They are throwing out so many olive branches. We'll work with you. If you and I can't come to an agreement on an amount, we'll arbitrate it through a third party, rather than bring it before a fucking judge. These are some of the best fucking olive branches you could get. And I mean that. This is Randazza showing he's willing to work. He's willing to work with him. I don't know what else you're expecting. I don't know what else you're expecting at that point. Randazza's being really professional. Nick Rekieta would have come in guns blazing and gone balls fucking deep with the bottle in his ass. That's what Nick would have done. Randazza's here like, I'm gonna hard wrangle Rackets over here away from you because he's chomping at the bit. Actually, he's not. He's traveling right now. He's in Nevada. I think he's in Vegas. Right? I'm gonna hard wrangle Rekieta over here. I'm gonna talk to you like a man. Rekieta, sit the fuck down. Get back in the corner. Get in the corner, Nick. Sit the fuck on that cuck cage. Okay, let's talk. That's what he's doing. What else are you expecting? And Schneider comes down and says, yeah, I didn't do this. You've now made a part of the record. You've made a part of the record. You're trying to get out ahead of it. Rather than talk to him first. Why? Why wouldn't you have that discussion with him first? Why? I cannot understand it because you had excuses to why you didn't talk to Nick directly. But now Randazza is contacting you, being incredibly professional, offering you an olive branch. And rather than take that olive branch and at least have a discussion, because that's what he wants. He wants a fucking discussion. He wants to talk to you. For fuck's sake, Mr. Schneider. For fuck's sake, man. I'm sorry. This is cover your ass shit. And you did it, in my opinion, in the worst possible way. Because you didn't talk to Randazza. You've put this on the record now. Randazza was trying to bail you out. He really was. And instead of taking him up on that, you said, fuck it. Fuck it. We'll put it on the record. You did Randazza's job for him. Randazza's now going to have to respond to this. It's not a motion, it's an affidavit. But now you put him in a position where he has to respond to it. You called his bluff. You pretty much told him put up or shut up. Move for sanctions or shut up. Now he has to move for sanctions. Will he do it at the end of the 21 days that he gave you for the safe harbor? I don't know. Now that you've put this out there, he may not have to wait. I don't know. Because Schneider is a whiny cuck bitch. I didn't get that. I think he's an older gentleman. Definitely an older gentleman when I talked to him. But he seemed nice enough. I know that such an accusation and demand must not strike you as very brotherly of me. However, I hope that my proposed resolution does. I cannot fathom that you did not know that your client did not really live in Colorado when you signed that complaint. However, if your client lied to you, then we are certainly not the wrongdoer here. If that is the case, we would require the following. 1, your client to sign a statement under penalty of perjury that he lied to you, and that is why the complaint contained this material falsehood. 2, you sign a statement under penalty of perjury that you were unaware at any time before filing that complaint that Quest would later claim to live in Illinois. 3, your client will pay the sanction and not you, meaning that they are going to say Steve Quest is to pay the sanction, not his attorney. That is a fucking olive branch. But it also puts that little thing, that little wedge between client and attorney. Who's going to be thrown under the bus? Montegraph has to be worried about that. 4, your client will waive attorney-client privilege as to this issue in discovery, meaning that for the purposes of this issue, the any communications between you and him about where he lives are to be provided in discovery. Now, if those emails or conversations contain anything else, you are free. Let me back up. If they contain anything else, probably going to be free to redact it. Probably going to be free to redact it. I don't think Randazza is going to be like, no, I want everything. Because that probably wouldn't fly. Please get back to us by Thursday at 5 p.m. I think he got back to you. He just didn't do it the way that you were expecting. Not the way you were expecting. I do not like that I had to write this letter, but I am bound to defend my client's interests. Zealously defend your client. And if the roles were reversed, I would not only expect the same from you, but I would have reached out and offered some kind of resolution before being asked. I don't know. It's Randazza. Come on, you're an attorney, buddy. Would you have? I do hope that you believe that my attempt to resolve this without emotion is an act of courtesy. We all make mistakes. You or your client made one here. Whoever broke it is going to buy it one way or the other. I like that. I like that last. Then it signs off with Mark Randazza. And then Schneider's emails saying that he filed a supplemental affidavit and he's sending it to them. So there you have it. That is this. So let's get back to my full ugly mug. All right. So as I have stated, I had a discussion with Mr. Schneider earlier, and it was specifically because of the actions of his client. Not actions to anybody else in particular, but actions towards me. Montegraph today DM'd me again and screeched at me about how I had slandered him and yada yada, and I'm a terrible person because I slandered him, and you know he was very upset about my claiming that he has a felony conviction, apparently. And I said I would apologize for this on air. He apparently does not. It looks like it was some kind of deep fake gay op shit. Hey, I was taken for a spin as well. Okay? I was taken for a spin as well. Happens to everybody. But because I'm a consistent individual, I own up to when I fuck up. I apologize for that. It's not true. He doesn't have a felony conviction for soliciting prostitutes. We're soliciting an underage minor. Okay. Apparently he doesn't. Apparently it was a gay op, and I will stipulate to that. Now, let's get to the meat and potatoes of why I called Mr. Schneider earlier today. Earlier today, Monty threatened me with a lawsuit. He has threatened me with a lawsuit. Not just for slander, but I would just like to make this very clear. Last month, he also DM'd me on another account. I believe it was the Umbrella Man. I have to go back and check. Where he said that he was going to sue me if I didn't stop talking about him. He then attempted to delete that message and hide it. Except when you delete the message, it only deletes it on your end. I still saw it. So given that he said that, and given comments he had made in my previous streams, in my chat that he then deleted about suing me, and also a comment he made to Nick, or about Nick, where he said something along the lines of, if Nick just didn't talk about me, none of this would be happening. I felt it out of an abundance of caution, I guess you could say, to call Mr. Schneider and basically tell him to hard wrangle his client. I was very professional. I was very respectful. Very respectful. As I said, our conversation was very amicable. It was very, very, very fucking nice. I have no problems talking with Mr. Schneider in the future. So, he was very professional when talking to me. We got a couple of laughs in. There were some things he said to me, and I'll pass them along. Actually, I think I passed on the most important thing earlier. One of the things, however, he has apparently told his lawyer, because other people have called Mr. Schneider to claim that they are being harassed by Steve. Steve has apparently told him directly, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is what Mr. Schneider told me. Steve has told him that people are spoofing his name in chats and causing him issues. Steve, that doesn't work with me. Because one of the accounts you put into your fucking complaint, you confirmed is yours, and on that account, you say, yes, you were the one in my chat. That don't fucking work with me now. Now, I don't say ever that I am being harassed. It's a stupid thing to say. I throw punches. I expect punches back. I have never once have claimed to be fucking harassed by someone. But I now have to say, Steve, you have now entered harassment territory. Threatening me with a lawsuit because I'm talking about you. This isn't Minnesota, motherfucker. You'll be filing it in my state, Massachusetts. You really should look up our anti-slap law. And now that it's on record in multiple fucking chats, you, confirmed by you, by the way, saying that you were going to sue me for talking about you, you think you're going to survive a fucking anti-slap? Motherfucker, I will slap the shit out of you. You want to play these stupid games? Fine. I've already told your lawyer, because I wanted to be fair and equal. And I didn't want to be blindsided by your fucking stupidity. By the way, apparently his phone's been ringing all fucking day today because people have been calling him about your bullshit. When I said, hey, my name is, and, I just wanted to let you know about your client, Steve Quest. And he's like, I'm not going to ask you any questions about it. He's like, oh, thank fucking God. Because his phone's been ringing off the hook because of your stupidity today. Apparently not just today. So keep that in mind. But I let him know I'm requesting the transcripts of the chats from my previous streams on this subject. Because you deleted your comments. Only way I can get them is to get transcripts from YouTube. I'm not sure if I'm going to have to, email and request it and they'll give it to me, or if I have to subpoena it. I'll fucking subpoena it if I have to. I don't care. But I have told Nick I am doing so. He didn't know about this, by the way, before today. I still think he doesn't know about it because he's been traveling. I haven't seen him online. I've called Mark Randazza. That phone call I took was from his admin. I'm having a call with him on Friday to talk about this. I let your lawyer know out of courtesy. I didn't have to. I let him know out of courtesy to know that you are tanking your own case with your actions. You are. And by the way, I just want to put this out there. In the DMs, I said, I'm going to get a haircut, right? Got a haircut because I have a funeral to attend this weekend. It's a Korean War veteran's funeral, and I'm going in uniform. And he responded when I said that. I am positive that George's family will be grateful that you dressed in uniform for his funeral. Who the fuck is George? Because that's not the veteran's name. So this motherfucker tried to intimidate me. I have information on you. Motherfuckers trying to intimidate me in DMs. Yeah, this is really going to survive an anti-slap if you sue me now. Oh, motherfucker. Part of me hopes you do it. Because I'm in Massachusetts. We have a very robust anti-slap law. Which if I were to win, and I feel confident saying I would win, you're paying my attorney's fees. And sanctions. You are. I'm not going to lie to you. This close when I get everything to submit an affidavit and dox myself on behalf of Nick. That fucking close. I don't have to do that yet. I don't have to do that yet. But you continue spurging out and threatening me. All right, motherfucker. You want to play games? I've got more games than Milton fucking Bradley at this point. I'm not somebody that's intimidated. Certainly not by a guy who's 60 years old and claims to be hiding from people because he's a retard. You think you're a fucking troll. You're part of the CIA. You're a nobody. You're pissed that people laugh at you. Don't do stuff that makes people laugh at you. Holy shit. Holy good goddamn motherfucking shit. I will help fund a lawsuit if he comes at you. I'm not. I have a lawyer. She doesn't deal with this kind of stuff, but she'd be able to get somebody. She knows a couple of lawyers in Boston. Well, he could get in touch with Randazza. That'd be kind of funny. I think he'd take the case. I think he'd take the case on contingency. could be kind of funny. Is Nick your boyfriend? Yes. Everybody says Drexel's the bull in that relationship. No, it's me. Monty is always in a fight with someone. He thrives on it. Yeah, he thrives on it. And then he screams that he's a victim, like a feminist or a leftist. Starts fights with people and then screams that he's the fucking victim. I'm not somebody who's intimidated. Really not. So there you go. You got your apology because I fucked up that one thing, Monty. CP followed you. I don't want CP. No, I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with this. I don't know who this is. I just saw that pop up on my Twitter. I was like, I don't want CP. Okay. I'm not somebody who's intimidated. I'm not. You tried to intimidate me in DMs today. That really pissed me off, actually. That pissed me off. So, you want to play stupid games, you're more than welcome to. I encourage you not to, but, whatever. Is Monty an op to get business for Randazza? That's a good question. That is a good question. So anyways, that's going to be the stream. I've given him the apology that I said I would. I have responded to his threats and his intimidation tactics or attempts. And we went over the affidavit from his attorney on this. I feel like I've done my due diligence today. I feel like I've done a great job talking. I'm going to go take care of a couple of things. This chair's okay. It's a little, I'm breaking it in. So it's a new gaming chair. Stupid Chinese company. It was like $150, so can't be too upset with it. But yeah, so you guys have a good one. Maybe if I'm going to stream again tonight, I'll post it online on Twitter. And if I don't, hey, you guys have a good one. So enjoy the rest of your day. Otherwise, I'm Spectre. Thanks for